Good afternoon, and welcome to today's Meet the Author webinar. Today we are excited to feature two new kits all about solar power, solar-powered car and solar-powered houses. These were developed by the University of Illinois. I'm Elena Massler with the National 4-H Council, and I'm your moderator today. We have just a few housekeeping notes before we begin. First, I'd like to share some ideas on how to maximize your viewing experience. If possible, we recommend using a wired internet connection and closing any programs or browser sessions running in the background. Make sure your flash is enabled and your audio speakers are turned up. If you are experiencing any technical difficulties, you can click on the question mark icon at the bottom of your screen, which will take you to the help guide. There are also two documents in the resource list that may help you as well, the webinar technical guide and clearing the cache. Second, the webcast console is customizable, which means you can open, close, resize, and move any of the windows on your screen. The icons at the bottom of your screen represent various widgets you can open or close. In addition to the help guide, I'd like to highlight the following. The message icon in the middle of the list opens the group chat box. We recommend that you open group chat as it's a great way to communicate with fellow attendees, and it's also where you can ask any questions of the presenter. The piece of paper represents the resource list. In addition to the technical documents I just mentioned, you'll also be able to view and download a copy of today's slide deck. There are also links to Shop 4-H and upcoming webinar registration. And lastly, the person icon is for presenter information, which contains the speaker's bio and contact information. We are recording this webcast, and it will be available in approximately 1 day. You can access the webcast using the same link that you used to sign on today. Feel free to listen again and also share with your colleagues. Our presenter today is Jana Sebestik, the Assistant Director of STEM Curriculum Design in the Office for Mathematics, Science, and Technology Education at the University of Illinois. Jana, thanks for joining us, and I will turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. So we're here today to talk about two activity kits that help students learn about solar energy. And I think one of the things that we were trying to keep in mind when we developed these was that we wanted them to be more than craft. We wanted there to be more engineering design and more science than just something to put together and be done with. We're going to talk about these sort of one at a time, and we're going to talk about the car first. Oops, maybe not. So, all right, here are the pictures of the kits as you get them. They're in a box. There's a manual that gives instructions and all the materials that you need. Doesn't mean that you can't add some things as you do it, but everything is in the box and ready to go. So the solar car asks that you design and build a car that travels in a straight line outdoors in sunlight, and that use your engineering design techniques to design it and build it and then test it and then reconfigure it and test it again so that you get something that goes straight and operates in the sun. Right, the materials in the kit, there are some corrugated plastic to use for bodies, two different sets of wheels, some of the larger diameter, some smaller diameter, some gears, a motor, and the solar panels, and then the instruction booklet. The materials that you need to provide for yourself are tape and glue, maybe some straws, scissors, and possibly some beads or spacers if you decide that you need to use those. So the challenge is to use the solar panel to power the motor, and then to use the motor and gears to power one of the wheels on the car. And to design a base, you can make your base any shape or any size. You can cut with scissors and choose wheels and axles that you want to use to make sure that you can maximize the power from the motor. This is one example. This is one I built. It works. Probably isn't the best one. I think there's a photo of that inside the materials. And what we're looking for are things to think about after you've done it. So get something that works first, and then think about how you can perfect it. So perhaps you might want to change to the yellow wheels, or perhaps you want to add a third gear, or you want to make your solar panel tilted a little bit, or you decide you want your base to be smaller or you want to use the other base and make it larger. Maybe you want to make, it's just corrugated plastic, and in the past, I've just taken those old political signs after the election is over and cut those up. They work fine. You could use balsa wood or plain cardboard or anything that works. Some of the times we use the tunnels in the corrugated plastic to run the axles through, or else you can make a sleeve for axles with the straw and run the axles through a straw and tape it to the body. All kinds of different things. Maybe you want to put the solar panel up higher, you want to put the motor higher, if you want to think about a way to mount the motor. Also want to think about how the solar panel functions. So you want to think about, what happens is if you're running your car on the sidewalk and it runs into a shadow. What happens if the sun goes behind a cloud? Could you think of a way to use a battery and let the solar panel charge the battery? So those are some kinds of things, too, that we include in our website, and I think we'll get to there's information about a corresponding website later in the presentation where you can go to get some tips, learn more about solar energy, and get some activities that you can use with the materials that are in your kit after you're done with the car. So, all right. These are just some parts of the manual, and there's a little boo-boo here. These two cars are actually competition cars. They both competed in an overland race in Australia this past fall. The red one is from Stanford, and this white one behind the circle here is the University of Illinois car. These cars travel, the rules of the competition determine the size of the battery that they can use, but they usually actually use the sun to do the traveling, not use the solar panel to charge a battery. Okay, here we go. Here's the back page. So here's a place where you can learn some more. You can see some of the pictures. This is a concept car. It's actually, I think it's like an already made car. Maybe it was a Ford Mustang or a Chevrolet that someone mounted solar panels on, and it actually runs from those panels. There's a picture of a charging station at the Argonne National Lab in Illinois that uses solar energy to charge electric cars. And in each of the activity kits, there's a Learn More section where you can find resources to learn more things. All right, and to the right on this slide is also the information about the Science Kit Extras. This is a website that you can go to get more information about solar energy or to get some tips and techniques. There's also contact information at the bottom of the web page where you can email me or get some more information or maybe submit some ideas that you'd like to share with some other people. So that's the car. Anybody want to stop here and ask questions about the car?
And while we're waiting for any questions, I'll just mention that you could type your questions into the group chat box, which again is that message icon at the bottom of your screen. Any questions or feedback you have, go ahead and type them in now or as Jana continues.
Okay, and if I see questions in the chat, I'm looking in the group, right, Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so not the team chat, group chat. If you type some questions into the chat there, I'll try to respond to those as I go. The Solar Powered House Activity Kit uses some investigations with copper tape and LEDs to explore and discover properties of how circuits work and how LEDs can be powered with the battery or with a solar panel. So the beginning parts of the activity are an exploration of just how the LEDs work. And in the kit is a roll of copper tape, solar panel, and assorted colors of LEDs. I believe there are 24 in the kits, 2 coin cell batteries, and some templates for making the houses and for an index card and some color paper for experimenting with the solar panel. The only materials that you might need that are not here are clear tape and scissors. also the instruction booklet for the kit. So the template for the big house, this house is about, has a base of maybe 4 by 4 inches, and it comes with a fold right on one of the fold lines, but it folds up to make this house that you can insert LEDs on and mount a solar panel on the roof, and you can light up your house. So we went to construct and light the house. I'm going to spend a little bit of time thinking about which LEDs work well together. Perhaps you could put more than one LED in your house. Your system could have LEDs in different places, but you have plenty of copper tape in the kit. Let me go back to that. There's a whole roll of tape, so you could experiment with how you want to include the lights in your house. Then the challenge is to use the templates provided to make some smaller houses. There are templates for 4 of those. Excuse me, to build a neighborhood, basically. It's a system where you use the one solar panel and enough of the copper tape to connect all of the houses, 3 or 4 of the houses in a row, so that each one of them can have lights inside. And that's a bit of a challenge, but it's definitely doable. This would really be a really good partner activity. I think, you know, there certainly is enough copper tape and LEDs for maybe even 4 or 5 kids to experiment with. And the templates are just paper or cardstock, so you could certainly copy more of those. The only thing that you'd have to think about are how you would share. There's only one solar panel, and there are 2 batteries. But again, you know, you could certainly get more batteries. The coin cell batteries that I find work the best with the LEDs are the CR2032s, and the price range is really, really wide. If you buy enough of them at a time, I can get them on Amazon for 25 or 30 cents each if I buy 100 of them. If you, at the Dollar Tree in here, I can get 2 for $1. So, you know, you can kind of think that if you go to your basic drugstore and try to buy one, it's going to be like $2.50. So the price range, depending on how many you need, is fine. But you can do a lot of experimenting with a few extra batteries and the copper tape and LEDs that are provided. If you want to extend with more supplies, you can certainly email me and I can tell you where I buy them. Elena, how much is the kit and where do we buy it?
Yeah, so there are links in the resource list to Shop 4-H. So both the car and the houses kits are available on our website. I believe the car is $26.95 for that kit, and the houses activity kit is $23.95, and they include all the parts that Jana's talking about now, as well as the activity guide. And as Jana mentioned, we intend them for groups of maybe 2 or 3 youth per kit.
Okay, and somebody asked about age. The science is not too difficult for maybe 4th and 5th graders. Certainly it's interesting enough. I've done it with some graduate students here at the University of Illinois, and it's interesting enough for them. So the only age limit would be like reading level and maybe some small motor skills if you get kids that are too young. So
as
again,
with many,
go ahead.
I was going to say, as with many of our kits, they're for a wide age range depending on experience level and interest. So this one is definitely applicable for younger and older youth.
Yeah, and I would say, you know, even for me, I mean, I've been tinkering around with these things for several years, and still it's really fun to see the lights come on. So I think, you know, it'd be fun for the adults in the room as well as any young people. But again, so the challenge here is to try to get as many lights to come on as possible and to organize them so that you can do it from one power source, not several different ones. Okay, so I just want one more comment. I've seen some craft like Pinterest, fold up this little house and light it from the inside, and most of those that just use like a little tea light or something, and so definitely is more of an art project than a science project. And hopefully with these kits we're trying to get the young people to think about what they can do beyond and how they can use what they know about circuitry and how LEDs work. There's some exploration with the colors of LEDs in this house kit. All of the LEDs look the same before you light them up, before you supply some electricity. The outsides are clear, and the color is determined by the material that is used to make the semiconductor that the electrons shoot through and make the color. So a different chemical will make a green, and another different chemical will make a red. And the wavelength of the light is also a consideration. So not all LEDs can be lighted together. Not all colors can work together at the same time. So there's some exploration involved with that, and then students have to think about whether they want to include a blue LED and a red LED and how they could do that. So hopefully for both of these kits, we've made them with enough direction so that everybody can get started, and open-ended enough so that everybody has some ideas and can go beyond just building it and being done. And hopefully to encourage a little more exploration. So I guess I talked really fast. This is me. This is my email address. I'm at the University of Illinois. Some support for this project was funded by the Department of Energy and also the Department of Homeland Security, part of a bigger project that's involved with the cyber protection of the power grid. And if you want to know more about that project, I could certainly give you some web sites that you could look at, and there are some other resources and activities that you could browse through there too. Anybody else have any other questions? Anything that you wish I would have shown you that I didn't?
While people are thinking of questions or any comments they have, again, go ahead and type those in the group chat box. I will just point out that we have several webinars this winter, and we have 2 weeks left, but all of our webinars, as with this one, are recorded. So if you missed any webinars that we had earlier on, you can go to our website at shop4h.org and watch the webinar recordings. We had a lot of great topics this year, and we hope that you find the information interesting and valuable. I'd also like to mention that we have our large curriculum sale every year in April, so that's April 1st to April 30th, where most all of our curriculum and kits are 25% off. So be on the lookout for that. We do have a catalog in the works, which will be on our site soon, and then the printed copies should hit home the last week of March. And then there's also an ordering worksheet, which lists all of our curriculum, their original price, sale price, on year of publication. That's in an Excel document, which you could use as an ordering worksheet or just as a handy reference of everything that National 4-H has to offer. So all of those resources are on shop4h.org, so go ahead and check those out.
Okay, a couple of questions here. This CREDC acronym stands for the Cyber Resilient Energy Delivery Consortium. And then the MISTI is Math, Science, Technology, Education, which is our office. And we actually have been here for 25 years, which means that we were STEM before it was STEM. And we had the math first. But in any case, the first piece of this, before the slash, will take you to a website that has more information about the bigger project and has information about some other resources that are related to electricity delivery or energy delivery. And if you go to, let's see, with a hyphen, credc.org, there's more information about what the research scientists are doing and how they've been working to protect the power grid for several years. And it's going to be okay. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, and then the other one about time. All right, so to get a working model of the car would probably take less than an hour for most kids. To perfect it and to come back and make something that works really well, I think 4, maybe 5 one-hour sessions wouldn't be too many. What you probably want to think about with any kind of engineering design activity with young people is that if you don't give them enough time to think about it, then they'll just quit with something that's only so good. It's also good if they see other people, then they can kind of think about, well, what I could, different ways that they could think about making their own better. There are enough materials in the car kit to make 2 cars. There's only 1 solar panel. And the other thing that maybe might be a consideration is that if you have both kits, you could use 2 solar panels on 1 car, or you could make 2 cars. The solar panels are interchangeable, so you get one with each one. Elena and I were just talking before you guys all signed in, too, about maybe coming up with some replacement parts for some of the kits. And again, if you contact me and you want to just buy something, let me know, and we'll figure something out. So I guess the answer to your expected time frame is it depends on how hard you want to work at it and how good you want to make it. On the house activity, I'd let young people have at least an hour just to explore the LEDs, and then another hour for the big house. So another hour or so to put this one together, maybe a little less, and then at least that long to try to make the system. This is actually a pretty challenging thing to do. There's a little template that's like, we call it the neighborhood map. It looks like a road. It will give you some hints about how to put this together. But this particular part of the project does require some thinking. So hopefully that was a long non-answer to your question. Anybody else? I've looked at a lot of science kits that are for sale, subscription services. Not terribly long ago, it seemed like there was a lot of publicity about science kits for girls or engineering kits for girls. And one of the things that people in my office and I have been talking about and thinking hard about is that it seems like a lot of the things, especially the ones that are directed at girls, are either very, very artsy, or they are so prescriptive that after you do what you're asked to do, there's nothing else to do. It's like, I'll put this together and I think, well, now what? Or, there's a electricity in a house project, but the electricity part is very simple, and all of the activity is like wallpaper and rugs and how to make curtains. So, we've tried really hard to put together some activities that don't have all the fun removed before they get in the hands of the kid. And sometimes figuring out why things don't work is the most fun.
And that's kind of the hallmark of 4-H learning, exploring, figuring out what works, what doesn't work. And these kids certainly follow that theory of learning, as do our other kits and activities. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, it looks like that's it then. Jana, thank you for all of your time working on these kits. For the audience, Jana's been working on these for years, so we're very excited to have them done and have them available, and we hope you all enjoy them. If you have any questions, as Jana mentioned, go ahead and contact her. Her email's on the screen, and you can also contact us at Shop 4-H as well, and we can relay any messages or try to answer questions as best we can also. So with that, thank you again, Jana, for presenting today. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.